this meeting is being recorded. There we go. Cool. So we'll see how this one goes. Maybe I'll get kicked out. You guys will still be there. If I do, if that happens, just remind me to press record again, because that seemed to be what happened last time. But anyways, all good. So how was our week of patience? Did it roll into all the other weeks? Is everything just kind of like molding in together? Forgiveness, letting go, patience, acceptance. It's all one big thing. Anybody want to share how they're feeling? How their weeks have been going? Because we're into our fourth one now, our fourth subject. Alrighty. That's okay. All good. We don't have to share. That's totally cool. Can everybody hear me though, at least? Like for real skis? Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Okay, cool. So if you want to post in the chats, I know Rachel, sometimes you post there instead of talk, and that's cool. How do we feel about our subject this week? Did you guys have a chance to check anything out? Check out maybe the little video on self-love, the little sheet that you had gotten on self-love. The meditation was a shorter one. It's like 14 minutes or something. Here comes Des. There we go. No? Okay. Well, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about moving into this subject? Hey, Des. All right. No words.
I think just bringing it up, I think it brings a lot of emotions in that, and I know I'm gonna have to face. So just hearing the subject, I know there's a lot that's gonna go with it.
Yeah. There is, for sure. It's very, very heavy, right? And emotions are not a bad thing. You know, you'll have a lot of those emotions. That's life, man. Life is emotion. Like, we're lucky, you know, we're lucky to have all this emotion. It's great. And we might think of it as, you know, a thing to be feared or a thing to not show, but hey, we all have emotions and we all move through them. So it's all good. Try not to, like, you don't have to dive all the way in, right? Just kind of take it as it comes, take it in the moment as it comes. So yeah, it is a process, Rachel. Definitely is. Yeah. So Des, do you have anything that you might want to share? How the last few weeks have felt for you? If there's anything that kind of came up that you sort of wanted to share? If not, it's all good. No worries. And you can post in the comments too. She might have had to run after Jade.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm back.
Yeah. Anything you want to share? Yeah, good.
I missed the beginning. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We were just basically chatting about well, I was chatting about anything that you guys might have wanted to share, right? That anything that's kind of come up along the way over the last 3 weeks. How do you feel about self-love for into this week? Anything really. And if you don't want to share, that's cool too. It's all good.
I've really been enjoying your all the breathing techniques that you've been sharing.
Cool.
Yeah, I've had a lot of, I don't know if it's like the Mercury renegade or what's going on, but the energy is intense, and I just need to, like, these breaths are just amazing lately. So thanks for sharing.
Oh, pleasure. Pleasure. Yeah, it is. The energy is intense for sure. Especially like the energy can be very intense. You might notice intense energies, you know, you might not be as in tune to it yet, and that's okay, but we all have the ability to kind of be in tune to all of those energies. So you might notice energy more when you're in like a crowded space, right? You can kind of feel other people's energies, or you're at a concert or whatever. Those energies are super easy to feel, right? But the more you get in tune with your own energies, the more you'd be able to feel all of the energies that's going on, you know, where you are, and vibe with, you know, when you say that you kind of like, I vibe with that person or I don't vibe with that person, that's essentially you noticing your intuitive sense to energy. That's all it is. So right now with, life in general, but especially with everything that's going on with COVID, they're like, I don't really want to go there, but the energy is so intense, so it's this whole collective that we can really feel that, like, especially at first. Now it doesn't feel as much as fear, but especially at first it was this huge sort of like fear energy, this worry, this what if and all of that. So breathing, it's a good way to let go of the energy. Energy is always moving and flowing, right? And if it gets stuck in us, then that's when we might feel stuck or we might feel off balance. So breathing, that's a beautiful way to kind of just let it all go, or most of it. Anyways. All right. So we're going to talk about self-love. But we're going to start off with a little meditation. So this meditation is going to be a meditation to feel our heart center. So the heart chakra, right? In here, all in the center of our chest, in the sides, in the back. We don't just feel love here, right? We feel grief here, we feel pain here, we feel open when we're falling in love with somebody, right? Maybe we haven't fallen in love with ourselves yet, and that's okay. That'll come. But falling in love with somebody else, right? We feel open. And then we can easily close off when that person that we love says something that hurts us, right? Or that we perceive as, okay, that's hurting me. So we close off. We close off when we lose a loved one or something like that, right? When going through trauma, anything, right? So our heart it's that center place for our connection to us in the lower chakras, and it's that center place, that sort of meeting place for spirit, for that sort of etherical world, for our thoughts, for our perceptions, for all of it, right? So if our heart chakra is essentially sort of closed off to the world, then we might not feel imbalanced. We might feel off balance. We might not feel connected to our body. We might not feel connected to our thoughts. We might feel like the mind is separate from the thoughts. So in finding our sort of self-love again, or love, or even love, because in our heart chakra, it gives us, we have the right to love, but also the right to be loved by others, but to be loved by ourselves, right? And it can close so easily as it can open. So essentially just practicing to get it open again, right? And that's all of this stuff that we're talking about, through letting go, through forgiveness, through finding patience and acceptance and all of that, and through self-love. So what we're going to do is just a simple little breath to promote a little bit of movement and a little bit of flow. So I invite you to take one hand, whatever hand you want, both hands, it doesn't matter. It's all good. Okay. And we can close our eyes just for a moment. And now as we sit there, again, let's sit up nice and tall so that we can feel the channel of that energy, of that breath. So just begin to breathe here for a moment. I'm just going to talk very briefly about the energy channels within the chakras. So they're called the nadis. And the main one, let's say, is the Sushumna Nadi, and that runs from the third eye down through the center of the body all the way to the tail. And so when that strong highway, that strong road, let's say, has kinks in it, by closing off our heart, for example, by that lump in our throat, by a sort of distended abdomen or a very, very tight abdomen, then we're essentially blocking our flow, blocking that potential love. So all I invite you to do is continue to kind of follow your breath, but let's feel our breath. Let's see if we can feel it underneath our palm. And we have chakras in our hands as well, essentially spinning discs of energy. So we might be able to feel that. We might be able to connect with that. Notice if your heart, your chest is rising and falling as you breathe. Notice if your ribs are expanding as you breathe. Notice if you feel pain in your back as you breathe, in between those shoulder blades, or anywhere in the back for that matter. What are you not letting go of? What are you holding on to? Feel that breath move within you, and invite you to set an intention to invite love with every inhale, and to exhale expectations, judgments, and fears. Inhale love, light, air. Exhale expectations, pressures, judgments, fears. On your next exhale, I invite you to just gently rise your chin towards the ceiling. So looking up and thinking about opening or noticing if you feel a little more open now. So we're going to feel sort of an upward flow, an upward pull. Yes, it's our muscles opening up. But we can also open up that energetic channel. Let's take one more deep breath right here. And then when you're ready, let's bring our head all the way back to center. Before you open your eyes, I invite you to say one thing, just one, that you like about yourself right now in this moment. How do those words that you have just said feel in your body? Did you notice anywhere tighten up? Did you notice anywhere open up? Whenever you feel ready, you can release your hands from your heart and gently open your eyes. All right. So how did that feel for you, ladies? That feel okay? Yeah. Okay, cool.
It was good, nice and relaxing.
Good. Good. Awesome. All righty. So finding self-love, finding love in general, right? We can, as RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love somebody else, right? But really, we can love somebody else, right? You can. You can love other people and not feel like you love yourself. You know, you have kids, right? You have, other people in your life that you love, right? And we can most certainly not feel good about ourselves, and that's okay. But the beautiful thing is that when you find that love within yourself, that true acceptance, that true adopting yourself, because when you adopt something, it's yours, right? So we can adopt our bodies, we can adopt our minds as our own, right? We can feel that love that we feel for others even more. And we can always stay sort of more open with our heart chakra and with essentially our energy, okay? But it's hard, right? It's really hard. It's not easy at all. This is something that personally that I struggled with for years and years and years. And this was the absolute foundation of my healing journey, let's say. So what I focused on was just that, was self-love. And it's scary as hell because it takes a lot of courage, and takes a lot of courage to realize that you don't like yourself, or that there's things about yourself that you don't like, right? And what it's called here in like yoga, let's say, or yamas and the niyamas, is called ahimsa. And essentially what that means is, can you see that? Non-violence, right? Non-violence. You might be like, well, I'm not violent. I don't hit people. I don't punch people. I'm not a rapist. I'm not this, and that, and the other, right? No, you're not. However, are you violent towards yourself? How do you treat yourself, right? If you're depriving yourself of things, if you're self-sabotaging, if you're putting all of these expectations, all of these judgments on yourself, if you're constantly doing when you know that you need to be resting, if you're putting foods in your body that you know aren't feeding you, aren't fueling you, and don't worry about that, I mean, everybody does it, but eating sort of out of emotion, right? That type of stuff, then that's violence. That's self-violence, right? So it can certainly be hindering, and those can be habits. They do become habits, right? So how can we break all of those habits? One piece at a time. One piece, throw it away. One piece, throw it away, right? It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to let go, but it can happen. It can slowly start to happen. But number one, what I found for myself personally, let's say, is number one, you have to have the courage to do it, right? Because it's hard. All of that change is hard. It's hard. I mean, I can say it 1,000 million times, but it really truly is, right? So here's a little bit of in here about not being kind to yourself, let's say, okay? So when we feel hurried, when we feel afraid, powerless, out of balance, and we're harsh with ourselves, so that's through judgments, through competitions. I mean, good competitions are good, but ones that are completely out of our reach, putting more pressure on yourself, right? We may find ourselves speaking words of unkindness. So does anybody speak any words of unkindness to yourself in your head? You know? Yeah. And what might some of those words be? You know? You know what they are. They're on replay a lot, right? They're that stupid broken record, broken record, right? They're always on, and it's really hard to turn them off. But I'm telling you guys, when you can slowly start to turn them off, the lightness you feel is just amazing. It really truly is amazing. And it's not going to be all in one shot. It's not going to be like you're going to break up that record and just throw it out. It's still going to be there. It's still going to want to play in the background a lot. And it'll still sneak up on you every now and then, right? Even though I've been going through this for years now, it's probably say about the last 5 years or so, let's say. There's still the odd time when things like that come into my mind, when I feel badly about myself, right? But then I remember that I adopted me for me, and that I love me for me no matter what, right? And it's just not putting that, that judgment on myself. I'm not criticizing myself because I'm not like you or like you, because I'm not meant to be. Not meant to be like anybody. I'm meant to be like me, right? Yes.
And
One
maybe,
sec. Okay. You're what?
and maybe because at Claire's house
Okay.
there was a dead baby mole on her driveway, so we buried it.
A dead baby mole?
Yeah, I couldn't even open its eyes.
Okay.
The eyes were like shut.
Okay.
Like,
Cool. Okay, I'm on a call, so
Okay.
you can go tell Dad.
okay, bye.
Okay, bye. A dead baby mole, so they had to bury it. Awesome. Okay. All right. So when we're speaking those unkind words, right, we're exploding with like violent outbursts. Sometimes that might happen to you guys too, right? All of a sudden you're like, holy shit, I just freaked out over what, right? Happens. So as our awareness of these nuances grow, so once you begin to become aware of those things, then you can slowly start to learn to let go of them, right? We learn that our ability to be nonviolent to others is directly related on how we are with ourselves, right? So I'll give you a sort of a little bit of a story of myself, because we learn by experience, right? And we've all kind of, we can sort of relate to each other, right, in certain ways. So for myself, I felt like I wasn't violent with others, okay, but passive aggressive, little violent, right? So I felt like I wasn't with others, but inside of me there was constantly, I would say almost a lot, constantly, this kind of fire breathing dragon that was in there, and it was steaming up and it was boiling and it was boiling, you know. For example, I'd get into a fight with my husband or whatever, but I wouldn't really fight. I wouldn't really say anything. He'd be the one yelling. He was allowed to get upset. He was allowed to get mad, right? And I'm like, love him, not going anywhere with that, but I'm just telling you by experience. I would, fine, walk away, wouldn't say anything or whatever, right? But in my head, oh, you're getting a shit kicking. You know what I mean? Like, I'm screaming at you at the top of my lungs in my head, but it's not coming out. That's not good. It just gets stuck in there, and it gets stuck, and it gets kind of pushed down, pushed down, pushed down. And you just continue on that stupid cycle of just being horrible and horrible and more horrible with yourself, right? And you get to a point where you just feel stuck, and you just feel, right? So something might happen in your life where it's almost like the switch. Not that it's going to change all at once, but I personally believe that there's certain people in your life, certain situations in your life that are meant to be there, that help you move along your path, right? Because for me, there was certain people in my life that helped me see me, right? That's crazy. That's wild. That's amazing, right? And helped me see me, and helped me realize that I do deserve this. Stop doubting your fucking self, right? Like, stop doubting yourself. You are worth it. You are worthy, you know? I wouldn't say things because I'm afraid of what you're going to think of me, right? I don't go around and say, "Hey," you know, to like people, because that's not very nice. That's violent, right? But what I mean is, I'm able to be my true self, right? And kind of just sort of let go of the rest. And then other things still certainly happen, because they're going to, because you're going to have these emotions that are gonna come kind of boil up again. And then how do they be released, right? How do they be released? That's the tricky part. Does anybody have anything that they kind of want to share so far, and then I'll move on to a little other section of where I was going with that? Is good. Okay. Yeah. So we have to replay those thoughts in our mind to be more kind to ourselves. But I wouldn't say ignore the thoughts that aren't kind, because why are they there, right? They're there for a reason. They started to peek into your life for specific reasons or situations, right? So, what I invite you to do is take a look back at how your mom treated herself. You know, what did you see as you were a kid? How did your grandparents treat their self? Your grandmothers treat themselves, right? And then when I think back at those types of things, my mom was, so for myself, I never ever doubted my mind. I always doubted my body. It was more me, of the way that I looked. Okay, that was the hugest thing for me. And then in looking back, that was my mom. She was the go-getter for work. Like, she's the she's the doer. She was the boss, you know. I had these big expectations of myself. I'm going to get shit done. So she had a very strong personality, awesome personality, right? But how she felt about herself, I could see. I could see that as a kid, right? I could see that because my dad's sisters were skinny and she wasn't skinny. I could see that she felt poorly about herself, right? But she never once said anything remotely mean to me that would put me down about my body. So where did that come from, right? I'm not saying that it came from her, but it could have certainly been a generational thing that came from there, right? I remember being a kid, like probably 12 years old, maybe. And I was really upset and I was really sad. And my mom came in my room because she's so supportive. Like she's supporting you no matter what. And bawling my eyes out, looking in the mirror. And she was like, "What's the matter? I'm ugly." And I'm literally just bawling my eyes out because I think that I'm ugly. And I say that right now, and it just like, you know? And she's sitting there with me and she's like, "Look in this," and she's crying herself and she's like, "Look in this mirror," and she's like, "Look at your eyes, you're beautiful, look at this," you know, like she was so like 100% supportive, you know. But for some reason that probably helped in the moment, but it didn't truly get in, you know, until later, until I started to relive those moments, because it's good to relive those moments, you know, relive those moments and then realize, okay, that's where she's coming from, right? And then now as I'm older, we support each other, you know, and we talk about that shit. And so even if you can't talk about them, you can, even if you can't talk with them personally, like physically face to face, you can still talk with them. You can talk with them through meditation, through anything like that, right? Um, but looking back at that, personally, I think can be a big eye opener, you know, as to how you treat yourself. And you can break that karmic cycle. You can, right? It's not going to be easy, but you can. One piece at a time, right? One piece at a time. So I decided, here's a couple little things that you can do if you want to write it down. One big thing that I would do, because it was highly about the way that I look, I would look at myself in the mirror and I would smile. Simple, right? It's a simple thing, but most of the time I didn't want to smile when I looked at myself in the mirror. It was looking at this is ugly, this is ugly, this is not nice, this is not nice, blah 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 blah. It would do that, right? So even just the act of looking at the mirror and smiling at myself was, at first, felt definitely forced, but it had to feel forced. And then it started to feel better and better and better and better. And now I walk by the mirror and I'm like, that's right, you know. You can get there, it's a good thing. um Looking in the mirror and saying one thing that you like about yourself. You can say one thing that you like about yourself, like we did in our meditation here, right? You said that one thing you like about yourself. But then when you look at yourself, the eyes, the window to the soul, you know, tell your soul that whatever it is that you like about yourself, it can be anything, it doesn't matter. I like my fingernails, doesn't matter, right? It can be anything. This one is a big one, and this one can be a really hard one, especially if it's your body that you're having, that's really holding you back, right? That you're feeling really bad about. Get naked and stand in front of the mirror. Just look. Just look. Smile. Look. Smile. Cellulite. So what? Big ass. So what? Little ass. So what? Droopy boobs. So what? They're yours, right? They're yours. And the lovers in your life love it. So should you, right? That one's a really tough one. You might stand in front of the mirror and bawl your eyes out. It's okay. You might stand in front of the mirror the next time you do it and jump around. Also okay. That's another thing that I would do sometimes too. Actually, I do that every morning. I'm not lying. So before I have my shower, I can only see the top half of me. So I always do like a lymphatic flush, meaning I just bounce on the spot. And so I bounce on the spot naked and my boobs are like flap, flap, and they make like that smacking noise. Well, yeah, that's what they do. For those of you who have a little bit of boobs, you'd know. So that's a fun one to do. Silly. My gosh, right? What else? Oh, there's so many. Make a list of all the things that you don't like about yourself. Take your time, put on some music if you want to, and then rip it up or burn it, right? Make a list of the things you don't like about yourself and then adopt those things as your body, right? So if you're having a day where, your boobs you don't like your boobs, whatever it is, that day you like them. I like them because, I like this about me because, right? And find it. Yeah. I want to cut off my. Oh, Rachel. Oh my God. Too heavy. I hear you. Mine were two when they were milkers, man. 3 kids and that was like Baywatch. Yeah. Yes. Oh my God. I totally hear you. Yeah, for sure. There was a time too when I was feeling very bad about myself and I wanted plastic surgery for my boobs, wanted a lift because, they hung down to whatever and I could literally put my phone under there and it would stay. Right? So now they're awesome. Yeah. So that's another thing. Adopt your body, adopt your mind, adopt all of it, whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, it's yours. That's beautiful, right? It's unique, it's yours, it's beautiful. Okay, that's tough, but that's all good. All right. So we talked last week a little bit about doing things that scare you, right? Because moving into self-love takes courage and is hard. Do something that you wouldn't normally do, or something that scares you. Something that scares you is great. Something that you might be thinking, I've always wanted to do this. It might even be something really little. I don't know what it is. I've always wanted to read this book. Read the book. I've always wanted to do whatever it is, even if it's just something small, something big. Do it, right? I've always wanted to go to Greece. Well, then, obviously you'd have to plan for that and maybe save some money and stuff and kind of figure that out. But try something little. Try something little that you've always wanted to do and just do it, right? I've wanted to learn to play guitar. Cool. I've wanted to take singing lessons. Cool. Do it. Do it. It'll feel good. When you do, notice how you feel. I always say coming back to that somatic experience. So notice how you feel in your body when you do those things too, right? Yes. Another little thing you can do is pretend. And I say pretend because at first when it's like looking in the mirror and it's fake and it's forced at first, but pretend that you're complete, meaning pretend that you have everything you need. So there's no need to expect anything from yourself, right? There's no need to expect anything from others. There's no need to criticize or judge yourself or judge others. You have it all, right? You're complete. Does anybody give compliments to other people? Is that hard to do? Yeah, sometimes it's hard to do. Sometimes it's not. I don't know. Compliment people, right? That feels good. It feels good when you truly mean it. Sometimes maybe you were afraid to say it, but you truly meant it. Just say it. Compliment other people. Anybody, right? That can also help as well. How are we feeling about any one of those so far, or all? Everything so far. Anything that you guys do that you'd like to share? I love complimenting people. Des, yeah, you do. Harder to compliment myself. Okay, so you compliment people all the time. Des is like, love, love, love Des. So love, love, love you too. So maybe instead of complimenting others, not instead of, also compliment others like you do, but compliment yourself too. So that might be, you know, like looking at yourself in the mirror and saying one thing you like about yourself. Just giving yourself those compliments too. That can be huge. It's awesome. Okay. So I'm just kind of going through because I had some other notes and some other stuff that I wanted to talk about. But if anybody else wants to share anything, then of course you are welcome to. I've said that one.
Me, it's after having a baby. Everything changes. Everything slows down. You can't lose weight as quickly as you could before. Like, oh, getting older. Not fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It is true for sure. So there's an interesting thing kind of sort of about that, right?
Mhm.
So I'll tell you a little bit sort of about Ayurveda. Okay.
Mhm.
In Ayurveda, it's essentially coming back into our own balance, but
Mm.
through nature, through the elements. Okay. So fire element is transformation, it's change, it's focused, it's the doers. So people who are more pitta type, who are more that type, tend to build muscle easier. They tend to have a balanced build. Okay. But they can also be hot. So they can also be irritable, spicy people, spicy redheads. You might hear that.
I'm spicy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a lot of anger in there sometimes.
Yeah, right? Yes. And so because there's like we're all of those elements. And then Vata is more wind. So Vata are like the little busy bees. The can be really short or can be really tall, but long, thin limbs, you know, because they're the doers, the bees. They're very creative. They sort of get things done, let's say. Super creative musicians, salespeople, things like that. And then we have the Kapha types. Kapha types are earth and water types. Kapha types are unctuous, they're substance, they're stable, they're nurturing, right? They're like that balanced, relaxed elephant, you know? And when we're first born, we're in that Kapha stage of our life. We're in the stage of nurturing, we're in the stage of growing, right? When we grow something inside of us, we grow, right? So we're essentially, you know, from an Ayurvedic sort of perspective, we're growing so that we can have more substance to nurture, right? So as soon as we have that baby, we're like back down to size, whatever the heck it was, you know? And we forget that we're nurturing in that moment. You know, you're nurturing your kids, you're nurturing yourself, you're lactating. There's so many changes that have gone through our body, right? But we tend to, we're in this sort of, you know, Western society where how can you get back to the smallest you've been right after you've had a baby? Why are we putting that pressure on ourselves, you know? That's a beautiful stage of our life. Like we've just given life, man. Like how cool is that, you know? And if we can let go of that pressure, of those pressures, of those judgments, of those criticisms, then our body's just going to go back naturally, right? If we can feed it with good, wholesome, fueling food, then our body will go back to where it needs to be naturally. Our bodies regulate on their own naturally when we're imbalanced, you know? We're meant to grow when we have life in us. We're meant to gain a little bit more in the winter because having that inch to pinch, or even more than an inch to pinch, fat is substance, it's warmth. That's what keeps us warm in the winter. That's why bears eat a shit ton, because they need that fat to keep them warm. Same, we're also creatures of this earth, right? We're meant to be warmer in winter because it's freezing cold outside, you know? So that's just sort of an interesting take on that, you know, not discrediting or disvaluing any of your thoughts, because we all get those thoughts, and it might be pressures from the outside sort of feeling that way, right? But how do we feel like deeply in here? You're like, all these boobs, you fed my baby well, you know, or all this belly, you held that baby well in there,
Oh yeah,
you
mission
know?
power.
Yeah, or all these strong, these thick legs, you allow me to run after my kid.
Mhm.
You know? Yeah, it's sort of aiming to kind of shift that mindset a little bit. There's always going to be somebody who's going to feel like they need to give their opinion, you know? Oh, you haven't lost
Mhm.
baby weight yet? Whatever, you know?
Or when you go to the grocery store, oh, what do you do next? I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
no, it's
yeah,
taking me 10 years. Get rid of that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
You're like, and I guess, you know, that would be acting like violently, but you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? Or you can just be like, well, have a little bit of fun with it. When do you think I'm due?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I don't know. It's
I had a cheeseburger.
yeah.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
make a joke, right? Like, you know, you can certainly hide in jokes or have fun with jokes, you know, but when those jokes start to become, you know, deeper and deeper and more sarcasm, you know, I've been there, you kind of you fall deeper and deeper into sort of that violent state. So just
Mhm.
relaxed jokes, you know, you just roll it off.
Yep.
Roll it off. Yeah. So maybe, you know, take a moment to ask yourself why. Always. We talked about that, right? Ask yourself why. Why do I need to lose this weight? Or why do I feel
Mhm.
like I need to look a certain way? All of that. You know, ask yourself why. It'll help. That helps. Certainly. Most certainly helps. All right. Okay. So let's see where we're at. Okay, cool. Okay. So we're kind of almost there. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, does that feel okay with what I've told you about, you know, different things that you can do for self-love kind of so far? I'll be putting more stuff in there throughout the week too. And then I also remembered just before I popped in here, this one song that I love, and it would just like sing it and belt it out loud, but it's about the voices in our head. You'll know the song. I posted it into the group anyways. You guys will know the song. But it's a great song to sing to yourself and a reminder to believe, to let go of those voices in your head and believe what other people say about you, right? Because other people say awesome things about you, you know? So believe those words that they say to you. That's huge. It's massive. So, all right. Emotions. So when we're trying to kind of those emotions, let's say if it's anger or irritation or emotions that you don't like, you know, that kind of bubble up and bubble up and bubble up, how can we move through them? How can we release them? Right? So has any of you ever gotten really angry?
Yes. I threw a potato at my husband one time.
A potato. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's okay.
Just needed help with the kid. Yeah.
A potato. Oh, was it a big potato? No.
Nobody was hurt.
Oh my God, right? We all get angry. We totally do.
Yep.
And so I had this really neat experience, let's say, when at the kind of closer to the beginning and when I was sort of moving through stuff and making these realizations, let's say. Anger. Anger is a tough one, right? Like we all get angry, but why do we get angry or how do we get angry? We feel like afterwards, maybe we got angry and it was just this stupid, silly little thing, right? But we got all of this anger, essentially just letting it all boil up, boil up, boil up, boil up. And then it's this steaming pot, you know?
Mm.
So finding ways to release our energy can be such a powerful thing, but release it in ways that allow us to feel good, right? So it talked about work out every day, move every day. You don't have to go in the gym and go rah 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 or anything, put on music and dance. You love to dance, dance, go for a walk, something, anything like that, right? So I used to for a little bit, I was writing pieces for our local newspaper. So different pieces. The first piece I wrote was on self-love, and then they all just kind of like snowballed and stuff. And I wrote this one piece about anger. And it was right after I had an anger outburst. Okay. I got pissed off, like mad, And if you know me, you might be like, really? Because they always get mad inside, and I let it out outside. I didn't hurt anybody, like my kids or nothing, but I got mad and I kicked my wall. I kicked my wall and I made a hole in my wall, right? And after I did it, I was like, it felt good. It felt good to release it, And then I go up to my room and I sit in my room. I'm all alone. Close the door. I'm all alone. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, not thinking, feeling that emotion, right? And then I started to bawl my eyes out. And then I grabbed a piece of paper, I grabbed a book, and I wrote. So I wrote all about it, and it helped to release it. It helped to work through it. And it helped to notice how I work through anger, or how I work through different emotions, right? So anger, do you guys think of it as a bad emotion? Or do you think of it as a good emotion? Interesting, right? Yeah. She's writing something.
Some instances, I think it's good because it teaches you what you have to work on. Like, what's it makes you look at inwards, like what's triggering that? Where are you coming from? Why are you so upset?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And any of those angers, definitely any of those angers can help teach us, right? I think of anger as, I don't think of it as bad or as good. I think of it as an emotion of passion, right? Because you're so heated in that moment that your anger comes out. And how your anger comes out can, either obviously hurt somebody, can hurt you physically, right? Like how that anger comes out can make a difference. But there's good ways to let that anger come out, right? So let's say that our anger comes out physically. We hit, walls, we kick walls, we throw potatoes, whatever it is, right? It comes out in a physical way, then certainly practices that are physical can really benefit you. Go for a fast bike ride, go for a fast brisk walk and then run or something like that. If your anger is physical, be physical, let it out physically like that, right? Kickboxing, have you guys ever done kickboxing? Kickboxing is fun because you get to release that energy, and even if you're not mad, you're still releasing that energy, right? You're like, well, I don't have anything to punch about. That's okay. Maybe there is something deep down inside there that there is to punch out. You have no idea what it is, and that's totally fine, right? So get a punching bag, punch. That might help you. It can help with that, stagnant energy. And if you do things like that on a daily basis, if that's always how you release your violence, your anger, because we're talking about self-love and ahimsa, right? And non-violence, then that can be a really great outlet for you to, when you do feel that anger, you've exhausted a lot of that energy. You've released a lot of that energy, that when that moment comes up, you might feel more able to take a deep breath and not react in that specific way, right? So that can really help you. Some people are, when they release anger, they release it with words, so they say hurtful things. They say hurtful words to whoever they're having a fight with, right? So what can we do then? Giving other people compliments, Those are good things. Giving other people compliments daily. All those things that we talked about earlier. Talking to yourself nicely, you know, talking, because if you do speak like that, singing, anything that can help, you know, all of this stagnation or all of this sort of stuckness in our throat chakra to be released. Doing any of those, any chants, any mantras, anything like that. There's a really great one that I'll actually share with you guys tomorrow. I'll post it on there tomorrow, but I just wanted to find the exact name for it for you guys. Just 2 seconds. Where the heck was it? I had it here. Yeah, that's what that was. So it's called Aham Prema. So it's AHAM Prema, PREMA. And there I have like I have this full list that's literally like 8 different versions of that same mantra, but that one is essentially towards building and cultivating self-love or cultivating love even in general. So saying that mantra out loud with the song, because you have the stuckness in here or overactivity in here maybe, then that can be really great as well. So anything that would have to do, you know, with that throat, with your throat chakra, with actually talking, right? So maybe your anger is internal. Does anybody have any internal anger? Okay. Remember how I talked about earlier, mine was like that fire breathing dragon inside. It was yelling at myself inside or yelling at others inside, right? So if that anger is internal, then what can we do to release that is talking to yourself, you know, so that positive self-talk. Write yourself a note, write yourself a letter. Writing can be, and even if you don't write, it's okay, it's all good, but writing can be very, very powerful, you know, just kind of letting it go and putting it out there. Who cares about your punctuation? Who cares if your letters look like chicken scratch, you know, like letting go of those expectations of yourself, that can be a really great thing. The more you write, the more you say those things, that can really help to sort of release that anger that you might be feeling on the inside. So talk to yourself, you know, might listen to music, different songs that make you feel better and singing the song inside of your head. It doesn't have to be out loud. If you're more internal, do it internal, you know, you can do a combination of all of them. So we do a combination of everything, you know, then you kind of feel balanced, because sometimes you might release that anger more physically, especially if it's really boiled up. Sometimes it might be more internal. Sometimes it might be yelling, right? It's all different, you know, kind of try to work through that violence in different ways, and that might help you. Yeah. So how do you guys feel about that? How do you feel about all of that? Feel okay? Yeah. Okay. Doesn't have to be all unpacked today. Your backpack might be very heavy. Take a pencil out. Take
Yeah.
Kleenex out. Slow it down, right? But we all have our own answer. Okay, we have our own answers. We have our own timing of when things will happen, you know, and that's okay. You're not on anybody's timeline but your own, right? We all have our own way, our own path, essentially, right? And a lot of people try to derail us on our path. Let go of my backpack. All right, where are we at? Tammy, how are you doing? You can type in there if you want to. Maybe she fell asleep. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm good. Paying attention. I'm taking
Okay.
notes.
Okay, cool, Tammy. Cool. Awesome. Does anybody have anything else to add before we kind of finish off with just a little, a gentle little meditation? Just thinking. Again, if you want to send me a private message anytime, go right ahead. If you like to kind of work through it on your own, write it out, cool, it's all good. If you want to write anything into the group, that's cool too. anything specific you guys want to see me put into the group, but just be sharing some of those, that definitely that meditation with you guys, but lots of stuff. Anyways, cool. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think when touching this subject, for me, it's not so much of physical self-love, but more of an internal self-love and just falling in love with my own personality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's heavy.
So, yep.
Remember when you fell in love with Joel, right?
Yep.
Still are. How did that feel? You know, feels good, right? Yeah. Wouldn't that feel good to feel that for yourself? It would.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right? Oh my God. Slowly.
Mhm.
Internal. Totally. Internal. All of it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. You guys are all beautiful. You are. Inside
Aw.
and out. Inside and out. That's tough shit, man. Tough shit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I was at one of my yoga trainings
Mm.
years ago now. And there was like 45 people in the room. And we had to write down one thing to say to ourselves or whatever that was hard, right? And in those types of things, or even in through high school, I wouldn't share. I would never share anything. What? You're gonna judge me, you know?
Mhm.
But when you share, holy crap. So I decided, okay, I'm going to have the courage and I'm going to share. And I said something that is very hard for me to say to myself that I just said to you guys, that I love myself inside, that I am beautiful inside and on the outside. And the weight that is lifted when you speak those words, like it's wild. It's awesome, you know? So you are beautiful. Oh, humor in there.
Yeah. We're hot.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's finish off with just a little bit of a meditation, okay? So sit up nice and tall if you like. If you really love just, you know, kind of having your hands on your heart, go ahead, put them there again. It's cool. You can do whatever you like. We're gonna do a little bit of a neck stretch as we breathe. And this just might sort of promote a little bit of movement in some stagnation that we might be feeling. We're kind of trying to, or aiming to draw that energy of those thoughts kind of down into our body as well, and bring the energy from the root, sort of meeting it up. You know, we're kind of flowing upwards, flowing downwards, just sort of feeling that. So maybe we might want to start and just kind of like rock through that body a little bit, creating some nice, gentle, feminine movements. So maybe some circles through your torso might feel really good. It might unlock a little bit of kind of stagnation in the hips. And as you breathe, as you exhale, let's release the jaw. So release your tongue from the roof of the mouth. It tends to get pressed up there. Release that tongue from the roof of the mouth and say, and again. And you might want to circle the body in the opposite direction if you like. Just keep your eyes closed. There's nobody watching you. There's no expectations, no judgments, no competition, just pure love, pure light. Feel that body. When you're ready, bring your body back to a nice lengthened position, let's say. And as you exhale, let's draw our chin towards our chest. And as you draw your chin towards your chest, maybe just a gentle, soft sway from one side to the other feels good. Unlodge the stuckness in the back of the throat, the back of the neck. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. exhale and say, when you're ready, let's bring our head back up through center. And as you exhale, look to the sky. You can keep your eyes closed if you like. Just drawing the forehead up to your ceiling, to the sky. So notice up there all the light, all of the room, all of the space for you to expand into your best self, for you to expand into your awesomeness. Exhale and say, let's bring our head back to center. And if you like, draw your right ear towards your right shoulder. Open up the side of the neck. Maybe a gentle sway with your body if you wish as well. Exhale and say, let's bring our head back up through center. Opposite ear, left ear towards your left shoulder, whatever side you didn't do. It's all good. A little bit of a sway if you like. Open up the space in the side of the throat, side of the heart, the chest, if you wish. Exhale and say, when you're ready, let's draw our head back through center. Bringing our hands together if we wish, palms together. Drawing your head forward. Bowing through your head if you wish. And the love that lies within me honors the love that lies within you. Namaste. How are we feeling? 9:05. Okay, good, cool. A little bit of distractions. Ding, 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 ding. I don't know if you guys were hearing all of those. It's like, stop dinging. Anyway. Oh, well, it's all good. Cool. I'm glad you feel good, Des. Tammy, good too. All right. All right, ladies. It doesn't all have to be unpacked in a day. Remember that. One thing at a time, one smile at a time, one kind word to yourself at a time. One little boob whack. No, I'm just kidding. I say that because I watched a drag show, an online drag show. Oh my God, they were so good. Anyways, that was last Friday. My neighbor. It was so good. All right. Ending with a giggle. Have a wonderful night, ladies. We'll see you later.
Good night, ladies. Thank you, Roxanne.
You're welcome.
Bye.